So I was crying over my taxes recently, as one does. I think partly because I was reliving the year, and partly because it's taxes, and who the fuck actually understands the intricacies of how any of that shit works. But partly it was because I just found out that one of my little cousins is getting married. He's a couple years younger than me, early 20s. He never brags about stuff like this. The rest of the family does it for him. But he just told us because, like, he loves us. So he put in this, like, cousins group chat that we have, you know, hey, middle of the night, I proposed to girlfriend who we've known for years. Thought I should let you guys know. And, you know, we were all happy for him and everything. But through no fault of his own, I was upset because, you know, even though I'm older and have more, like, professional accomplishments than him or whatnot, he's one of the boys. And, you know, everything he does is great. And it's the South, and despite my impeccable style, I apparently am not enough of a boy yet to count for any of this. Anyways, I was texting with my mom about this because it came up in the middle of me doing taxes. That's when I saw his text message. And this other story came up, I guess because we were talking about, like, marriage and relationships. But when I was in high school, I was doing this computer science job for one of my grandparents. A lot of divorce and remarriages in that family. Not going to name names. But I was working for one of them because I couldn't get, like, a lot of normal jobs in high school because of, like, weird wheelchair ableism stuff, and that's a whole other rant. But I sent them an email, and in the email there was a link to what I intended to be, like, a spreadsheet or something that I was working on. But it was actually to I was typing too fast, and I didn't realize what had happened until it was very much sent. So said grandparent reported this to my father, and I convinced him that what had happened, you see, was that I downloaded a Minecraft mod. You Java veterans will recognize this page, I'm sure. And, you know, they are buggy as hell. So I just told him that the adware is what put that link in my copy-paste on my computer. Not the fact that I was a 15-year-old from Tennessee and Texas who had no access to proper sex education. Anyhow, he totally bought it. And ironically, I did have malware on my computer due to websites like this, completely unrelated to my choice of reading. But still, he was so pissed that the internet had tried to, like, poison me, I guess, that I did get a free trip to the Genius Bar out of that. But at the same time, he said, and I quote, because it's still burned into my brain, 10 years later, it's a good thing it was a virus, because that kind of content wouldn't be allowed in his house. My dad and I have a weird, complicated relationship that it's not really worth getting into on the internet, but needless to say, he said this /threat, and it had a lasting impact. So I dropped this into the conversation with my mom, thinking she's, like, not even gonna bat an eye. It was so long ago, I thought she already knew. But apparently she didn't. She had no idea. And she was fairly horrified, as it turns out. And, like, I'm sure this is not a super uncommon kind of story, you know, tale as old as time or whatever, but because of, like, other trauma and, like, weird ableism stuff and just things that happened in my life around that time, that I think not everybody has dealt with, and just the South. Let's be so real, the South. It, like, really messed me up for a long time that this has happened, combined with, like, the homophobia and ableism and just other stuff in my life around that same time. Fast forward 10 messy years, you know, moving north, going to college, dating, finding better friends, coming out a few different times. And I'm a trained intimacy coordinator now. Therapy works! A little, you know, we're still working on it. But kidding aside, I worked on myself. I did a lot of healing. And I went to school, and I found this really cool profession around getting to help people feel safe telling stories around intimacy. Hopefully making sure they don't feel threatened or unsafe, and we can talk about this stuff and what it means. And tell these stories together, which are important. Like, sex in stories is communication. Intimacy is communication, if you're doing it right. In an environment where we can support each other and be vulnerable and honest, and also take care of ourselves and be able to de-roll and step away from the work. I care very much about all that, and I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I'm good at it. My people feel supported. And we do really cool work. But at the same time, I was talking to my mom about this trauma that I had accidentally made her aware of. And how my cousin is younger than me, and he's getting married to his girlfriend. Meanwhile, I have not been able to convince my brain that it's safe to put HBO on the TV in my empty apartment. Which is mine. Which the only other person who lives here is my sibling, and they do not care. So yes, I am a professional intimacy coordinator who is good, maybe even really good, at their job. And yet here you find me single. Bitchless, no bitches to speak of. Locked in my bathroom, watching The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 4 on my phone, with minimum volume and lighting, because if I put gay sex on my TV, what if somebody sees? Anyway, the duality of man. None are free from the struggle. Educate yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Fight on. And if you are queer, for the love of God, I know it's different from the game. It's, at this point, I'm counting it as a different version rather than a direct adaptation, but watch The Last of